Hi, I want to make a video on music, sound, routine, and synesthesia. A lot of my routines nowadays, you probably wouldn't be able to see it outwardly, but they almost all exist solely in these two devices, an iPod and a pair of good quality headphones. Before the day starts and when I'm coming home from work, basically any time I'm out in public, I will have these with me. It's very rare that you'll catch me without it. And it's also very rare that you'll catch me without a preset, without ideas in my head about what I'm going to be listening to for the next hour. So I'm always readjusting and choosing different songs on here in order to bring on certain experiences. So not only is it routine for me to wear these, it's also routine for me to, even the night before, pick out certain songs and have rough ideas of which album and which artists I'm going to be listening to. Also, it's not just music on here. I guess there's a part of it that's so-called music, but then there's also a large percentage of tracks that I think majority of people would consider noise. But they serve a couple of purposes for me. I'm talking about artists like Aphex Twin or Richard Devine, or Devine, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, or even some of the more abstract stuff by Oettinger, like Gans Graph. So these tracks are kind of filled with noise, but when you listen more deeply, you'll realize kind of the artistry involved, that that they make discriminations between the left and right. They kind of build this 3D soundscape, and they pay a lot of attention to detail and where the sound is localized in, I guess, in this aural space around your ears. And I also have emotional songs that move me. One motif of my iPod and my music library is the lack of vocals. Vocals don't really do much for me. I think they crowd a song. I like music that completely removes the artist. I like music that I won't have the artist's intent in my head. I won't see their inspiration. Because a lot of rock music and metal, like artists that solo. When people listen to it, they say, "Wow, this is great. This guy has so much talent." I agree. I know it's difficult, but I choose not to listen to that because I don't think any of my music has that option in it, saying, "Oh, this guy has talent. I could hear him." So I think lyrics almost crowd a track because where my head is when I'm listening to music is at the level of the notes, at the level of these sounds of the notes. I'm concentrating on the timbre of the sounds of the music. If I am listening to vocal tracks, like if I hear pop on the radio, I don't hear the voices. I hear the electronic music in the back. That's what I'm concentrating on. So the lyrics really do crowd things for me. So you can imagine I like a lot of like classical music, not opera, God forbid, that horrible stuff. Sorry for any opera fans out there, but to talk about boisterous and annoying voices, at least that's my opinion. And I like, since I like toying with sound structures, and I really appreciate like polyphonal music, in a lot of contrapuntal music, like fugues that Bach has done, and very good examples are the a couple of his pieces from the Art of Fugue, where you hear about 5 different voices intertwining. You could really appreciate, and they're all complementing each other. Each other too. You've seen the optical illusion of the vase and then 2 faces staring at each other. Well, a lot of music, a lot of pop music you hear, once you remove that center figure, once you remove the important piece, everything is just background. You hear it doesn't have much. It's just an accompaniment. But with a lot of the music I like, sometimes I'll remove the main theme in my head, and especially with Bach, you could hear that everything else besides the loudest piano line, everything else can stand as an own song. I love that idea, whereas every single voice is basically intertwining and combining in all these harmonious ways with the other melody lines. So that's the kind of music I listen to. Contrapuntal music I really like. I also listen to a lot of sounds and noise. And many people consider it pretty grating. I've heard someone says it sounds like 100 pin cushions are being whipped down, a deep iron mine shaft. And I listen to noise because of 2 things. One is purely social reason and sensory reason. They're actually both sensory. There's an album called Xerox 2 by Alva Noto, and when you listen to that first song, I listen to it on the subway, and the volume I set the volume to somewhat loud, and what happens is just this white noise static drone that slowly builds up and then comes to this kind of crescendo, and after that everything is just white out and static. It's beautiful. But what's really functional about the track is when you're on the subway and everyone's talking around it. Even if you don't have noise canceling headphones, this would work. I listened to it, and as the drone starts, you could first hear the different frequencies being covered up. So all the little children's and babies' voices are being slowly drowned out by this tone, and then it's getting louder, and the static's masking more and more things. So then women's voices and teenage girls' voices is being covered up, and as it's growing and growing louder, deep booming male voices are being covered up, and by the time you get to, I forget what, about 30 to 45 seconds after that track, everything is just screaming, and everything is quiet. You realize you'll look around the subway and you'll look at people, and you're so far removed from it, and that's when I read. It's like this. I could breathe there. It's fantastic, this powerful masking things that white noise does, and certain artists that will take advantage of that. It's excellent subway music. So that's another thing. I use it on the subway to drown out people, so I can concentrate. For instance, I actually left my headphones and music at when I left for work. And I realized it on the bus, and I paid an extra fare to go back to my house to pick it up. I was 45 minutes late for work, but I didn't give a crap if I was going to be fired or anything. I just needed the music. I needed it, and I realized that if you take this away, that's just that's my main routine. I'd freak out. This being lost, that's my aversion to change. It's horrible. So back to sounds. Something interesting happens when I listen to certain sound, like artists within the IDM genre or electronica, not house music or trance per se, but music, or yeah, I guess you could call it music. Tracks that incorporate somewhat brisk and piercing and very high-pitched pings and statics and ticks and talks. So all these sound qualities that I really appreciate. Because what I do is I almost stim when I listen to these songs, but it's a very inward stim. I get synesthesia, and I'm sure many of you heard of that. There's a Discovery Channel episode about this woman who has it, and when this woman is walking, she's seeing these colorful ribbons everywhere and saying she can see music, and all this wonderful stuff, and she goes and she talks to someone else, and they say different chords on the piano corresponds to different tastes. This one's sour, this one's salty. For me, and I was thinking about it yesterday, and from what I read up on it, the synesthetic spectrum is probably even bigger than the autism spectrum. In terms of which sense is combined. So synesthesia is a combination of senses. One stimulus in one sense will trigger a corresponding stimulus in another sense. Synesthesia, syn together, synchronous. So for me, it's sound and visual image. And a lot of people assume it's, when you listen to music, that it invokes feelings of, wonders, colorful clouds and auras, and like a painting. For me, it's not like that at all. In fact, it's very concrete and precise. All the visual images I see from listening to music or even hearing loud noises lasts as long as the stimulus lasts. Right, so if I hear, a very, very quick drone or very quick television static, I'll see the image, but as soon as it's off, it stops. I don't analyze it. I don't hear it and then say, oh, this reminds me of this. There's no reminding. It's automatic for me. Whether I like it or not. What I can do, though, is tap into that, and I could kind of ignore everything else and then just put my concentration on seeing things. Also, I mean, this sounds kind of crazy. This sounds kind of hallucinatory. It's not like that at all. A lot of people, they think synesthesia is, you see these things outwardly, they're somehow outside of this vision, like if they would look at this wall, they would see something. It's not, for me, it's not like that. It's not hallucinatory. There's never anything outward. I never see anything in the physical world. There's nothing that blocks my vision, or, I don't see any colors on anybody. It's not like that at all. It happens for me, all this stuff happens in a confined space, kind of kind of here. If it were to be plotted, it would be this kind of black box a couple of feet in front of me. I see it here. But once again, it doesn't cloud my vision. It's something that I could close my eyes or look upwards and just, like my mind's eye. But it's more precise than your mind's eye. It's a little more concrete. So a lot of this. And once again, I don't have the kind of synesthesia where if someone plays a chord on the piano that I taste this or I see specifically red. For me, it's, I like listening to statics and very punctuated treble lines, especially the higher pitch stuff. I'll get a corresponding visual image. And most often it's, for statics, it's bands of static. But what's interesting is that the different frequencies of static, so let's say brown noise versus white noise. White noise is a lot more crowded. I see the particles there a lot faster. Brown noise is they're larger particles and they're a little slower. It's just like, it looks like whites, like a band of television snow. Also, pings and ticks. Ticks are very, very pointillist. They're hypodermic needle-like, very bright, and it depends on whatever track. It depends on which ear they're playing it to. So so I'm very good at picturing kind of the oral space of the song. I mean, this sounds wishy-washy, kind of. It sounds all interpretive, but it's really not the thing. The thing is, I mean, I never used to talk about it before, but the thing is, I could look at it really and analytically. It's not wishy-washy at all. It's for me, it's almost mathematical. It's scientific. There's no interpretation involved for me. It just happens, and I could either look at it or ignore it. It happens all the time. I'm trying to describe it, or it's difficult to describe, because I probably can't even pause my iPod and say, oh, this is what I saw, because it's already over, right? It really, as soon as the note stops, that's it. I don't see anything anymore. So it's, I can't sum up the track. And at first I was this and this, and at first I saw these lines and this, because I can't keep up with it. It happens so fast, right? I mean, it's not fast. It happens as fast as the song is played. So so there's not much of a story. I just it's like trying to describe to someone what hearing the track sounds like. Like you'd be caught up. Okay, well now I hear that. Wait, no, because this and then no, this is happening. And then wait, what? So no, right now is different. Okay, so wait, no, and this is going. So it's that fast, right? For me, it's that fast. And bass notes are a little lower, and the images are bigger, and they're subtle. That's why sometimes I'll appreciate kind of the piercing, high treble, higher pitch noises, because those are much more, those are brighter, and they're more refined and pointy. They're pointy. And once again, all this is sound dependent. I can't give a summary on what it is. Suffice to say that there are certain recurring themes. So, like I said, higher pitch corresponds to higher, and thinner images and deep bass notes corresponds to physically further down, spatially. I'm saying, and they kind of paint. They I don't like them so much because they're not very defined. They're kind of subtle, and at the bottom, very large, but not very bright. Also, left, right, the discrimination. The object will be will correspond to left and right. It's very hard to explain. I'm trying not to sound crazy, but if you were to just, I don't know, step in my shoes for a minute and listen to a track, you'd be like, okay, I get it, So there's nothing really crazy about it. It just happens, and like like when I'm walking down the street, or if there's music in the back, it doesn't interfere with me talking to someone. It's like when you're talking to someone in conversation and you hear the music in your head, you don't need to go, wait, stop, I'm hearing, I'm hearing music, sorry, I can't hear you fully, or I can't concentrate on anything else. For me, I get, not only do I hear the music in the background, but I see the things, but I choose not to tap into it, just like someone wouldn't stop in the middle of a conversation and say, shh, let me hear this. Wait for the track to stop. Okay, now you can talk. It happens all the time. And I realize that some of the noises I used to hate when I was a kid, the drill or the fluttering noises, is because they frighten me, because they would force me to see these corresponding images that they created. So it really was like an assault on the senses. So not just my ears picking up the noises and saying, okay, this is grating. It's also the image that these are the images that are from the sensory experience of these sounds. So it's really it's intrusive, So it's not only you're hearing this, you're seeing this. This is how it looks, right? So if someone locked me in a room and played it, it's like an assault. Like, that's how I would describe it. I could talk a lot about it, and some days my head is fresher than others in trying to describe it. And one more thing about music. Music, to me, it doesn't only serve an emotional and functional purpose. An emotional and a masking and synesthetic purpose, I guess you could say. It also captures memories, right? And this is also something that's not wishy-washy. It happens to me. It's like this brain process. It's it's there. It's not. There's no interpretation. What I'm saying is I categorize my memories and the feel for settings with music, and I plan it too. I said this track, I'm going to listen to it on the walk home from this new location. Okay, so like let's say or when I'm walking somewhere I haven't been before, I designate this track. Okay, let's play, and everything gets absorbed. The walk, how things look, how I feel at that moment, what the sensory experience to me at that moment feels like, and those moments are always unique. You never feel the same thing twice. Um, I'll capture it with that song, and that song will. And I know it will because that's my intention. It'll be that's those sensations of the place will be imprinted on that song, quite it'll mirror it quite it'll imprint on the song. It's almost like when people say that the sense of smell, elicits immediate emotion and immediate memory. When you smell it, and I'm sure many people have experienced that. Like the smell of grandmother's perfume. As soon as you smell it, okay, there's my grandmother's apartment or house. I know how she looks. I know this and this and this just from the smell. So for me, I plan all these. I get that with music, not just smell. So I plan all these little. These almost like memory filing techniques by choosing tracks that I want to impinge on the scene and capture it. So I capture these moments really. That also means when I play them back, I need to be in the right mood to listen to that song again to bring up these feelings. So a lot of the tracks on in my library, I don't want to listen to them all the time. I don't. So the tracks I designate aren't for casual listening, because it kind of ruins it. When I start listening to the track everywhere, it's just a track. But when I listen to it once or a couple of times, it just reminds me of the place that I first heard it. So a lot of the songs I kind of keep filed away, and I'm kind of obsessive about. I don't play them until the mood is just right, or I want to return to that scene. So these it's almost like I have tracks, then they're in a big, and my memories are filed away my memories are filed in this huge file cabinet, and the labels on them are the songs, right? So and when I listen to the song, I go and I open it and I see the memory, and it's very uncanny. I really feel like I'm back there. I mean, I don't see anything, but the taste of the scene and how it felt, everything, is reinstated. Like it's yeah, the taste of the scene. I would say, or the feel of it comes back. Sometimes if the track is super emotional, I don't want to play it. I don't, it's if someone went through my iPod and started playing random tracks, I'd say stop. No, I don't play that one. Don't play that one. Until the time is right. Then I will play that. We'll play that track. Yeah. So music and sound and anything involved with that plays a huge role in my life. It organizes things. It's a source of entertainment. It serves functional purpose to mask unnecessary and unwanted noises. So many purposes. My iPod is deceiving. When you look through my library, you'd be like, what the hell is this? I have field recordings, I have Bach, I have horribly grating power noise tracks and IDM. I know there are a lot of IDM appreciators out there. Sorry, I shouldn't shouldn't call it IDM. Aphex Twin calls it brain dance, which I actually think is more appropriate because my brain does dance in a sense when I listen to some of the Aphex Twin songs. Also, another thing is I'll look at people on the subway and I'll see them, I'll see them shaking their leg to the movement, or they're doing like this and they're really feeling the music. I don't get kind of this tactile need to to bop or move my body in some way. I don't need to move my body. That's one thing. When I'm listening to a song, let it be the most beat heavy song, I'm sitting super still. I don't move at all. I don't see the purpose to it because my head is doing all the work. I'm in my head. I'm analyzing it. It's like this. It's like a stim. That's how I would say it. Music is never casual for me. I never want to. I don't. It's like I love music, but the social aspect of music is totally absent in me. I never sit there and appreciate music with people. That's just a social situation that totally clouds everything up. Music for me is me and noise canceling headphones and by myself, and I'm just at the level of the notes. I am listening to the timbre of the notes. So I don't like going to concerts. So my music listening is somewhat atypical. What else is new? So anyway, that's just a brief discussion about what music does to me and for me. And it's a big part of my life. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching.